Hello, everyone. This is Eddie, and we're here with another message to try to promote some good vibes and try to, help some people that may, need some encouraging words, or maybe need to hear something that, that they may be going through and can take some good advice. Because I feel like that, this right here is a way for myself to get things out there to people who have problems and are afraid to go see somebody or talk to somebody. This can be shared to anybody. I don't care who shares it. I've spoke a little bit about a new project that we're going to be trying to do. We're going to try to get some people to come in. We'll shoot video, and we're going to talk about addiction. We're going to talk about suicide. We're going to talk about, testimonies. It doesn't have to be strictly religious, even though most of my stuff is based on biblical things. Not everything has to be straight out biblical. We just want to promote, the message of you're not alone, for one, and that you are loved no matter what. No matter what you've done. Mistakes are learning blocks. That's what we use to learn, to grow, and to, reach our full potential of what we can be. And it doesn't, and you can't do it by yourself. I'm sorry, but you can't. For me, it was God. God's the one that brought me and had me, do what I do today, and is still behind me, and I can't thank Him enough. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just here to try to put out some positive vibes, to, maybe get you to look at something in a different light, and to try to promote, good stuff. Now let's just jump on into the message. I'm kind of running out of stuff to say here, but this is some of my older stuff. Like I said, I have been trying to get more of my older stuff in, so therefore I can get to my newer stuff, because God has laid a ton of stuff on my writing plate here lately, and I've got at least 5 or 6 that I've started on but not got to finish yet. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this one. This is an older one that I did back in the end of May. It was called Anger, a Fuel for Self-Annihilation. We all experience it, anger. Some can handle it better than others. Some can move along without a problem. Others hold it in their hearts for periods of time. Nonetheless, the longer you hold anger in, the longer it robs you of positives. My last message touched on some of this, going back to the old Cherokee grandfather and the 2 wolves. If you continue to feed the negative wolf, the longer he stays alive and the less the positive wolf lives. There's also another story that uses an example of something that I absolutely can't stand. But for this message, I don't mind talking about it. This is about a snake that broke into a hardware store one night. Gives us a perfect example of how anger causes so much harm. I want to share with you a powerful story about a snake and a saw. Before you question what a snake and a saw has to do with your life, it is about much more than a snake and a saw. It's about what happens to us when we react in anger. It's about what happens to us when we hold on to resentment, and when we don't let go of negative emotions. It's about what can happen to us when we want negative things to happen to others. So the story is, one night after closing time, a snake found its way inside a home improvement store. As the snake slithered around, it clipped itself on a handsaw that was lying on the ground. Thinking the snake saw a threat, the snake instantly snapped around and bit the saw. Of course, this caused much more damage, with the snake cutting inside its mouth, not understanding what was happening and thinking the saw was an enemy. The snake wrapped its long body around the saw, attempting to suffocate it. Of course, the snake didn't do any damage to the saw. Instead, ended up being killed by the sharp blade of the saw. The snake ended up being killed by its own anger, by its own reaction to something it thought was out to get it. There's a powerful message here. Often, We react in anger when we think others have hurt us, or when we assume that others are out to get us. We react when we don't need to. We hold on to resentment. And sometimes we hope the other gets hurt. But in doing so, we only end up hurting ourselves. The negative energy we carry around when we hold on to these resentments and negative feelings only makes us suffer. Never the person we might want to suffer. When we react in anger rather than with compassion, no one wins. When we snap back, we can't win. It's always better to ignore negativity. It's always better to let go of negative feelings towards others and rather focus on creating the best life we can for ourselves. If someone does us wrong, rather than react angrily, maybe we should try to understand where that person is coming from. Show some compassion. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe all of their days are bad. When we look at things from a new perspective, it's much easier to move on. Leaving all negative energy behind, holding on does nothing good for our future. We must let go. We must move on before the anger consumes us and ruins us like the snake. Don't react. Instead, show compassion. Don't hold on. Instead, move on. And rather focus on creating the best life we can for ourselves. In certain situations, holding on to anger can be considered understandable, especially when a spouse has tolerated more than they should have. When a person feels alone and drowning in stress and emotion and feels like no one cares. Even some who don't ask for help due to thinking people will assume they're weak and get angry because their pride is too strong to ask for anything. Pride is another subject that I'll be touching on later on in another video. The Bible says in Ephesians 4:26-27, and forgive me if I pronounce that wrong. Be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Never give place to the devil. This verse suggests that anger can be a starting point but is crucial to avoid letting it lead to sin. Proverbs 29:22. An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man aboundeth in transgression. This highlights the potential for anger to lead to conflict and wrongdoing. Just today, and like I said, this was written about 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago. Assuming this is why this was late on me to write about, I was in a decent mood. Went to my daughter's 5th grade graduation and my other daughter's award ceremony. A moment that should have been filled with happiness and bliss turned out to be a miserable time due to being angry at someone who I felt was attacking me. I have tried to be good and considerate with this situation to this person because they were good to me at a bad time in my life. I've been trying to show this person the positive changes in my life, not for hoping some kind of miracle will happen, but because I feel it's the right thing to do. But no matter what I say or do, it's still not good enough. Holding on to anger keeps you focused on all the negative without a possibility of seeing a positive change. Basically staying blinded till someone does something far worse. Personally, I don't blame this person for being mad. If anyone knows how the old Eddie used to be, would probably agree that staying angry is the better option. I have apologized for what the old Eddie did, the way he was, the awful things he said. Seems like no matter what happens, I'll still carry that label to someone who once knew the old Eddie. But starting today, the new Eddie is going to make a change also. No more. No more trying to prove something to certain people. They want to hate. Let them hate. It is them who has to carry the burden in their hearts, not me. Still going to help them any way they will allow me to, and will still show love, compassion, respect, and friendship towards them. I will say this again. I am no saint, preacher, pastor, or second coming of Christ. I do not consider myself to be a great Christian or holy man, And I will go ahead and add on the other insults that I've incurred since the time this was done. Preacher Boy was one. The next Jim Jones was another one. And a fake A blank blank Fred Flanders. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I'm none of those. So, if you was to hear that I'm the next Jim Jones, I promise you I am not the next Jim Jones. I'm not trying to start a cult. I'm not trying to start a church. I'm not trying to start anything that will involve people worshiping me or thinking I'm some kind of God, because I'm not. That one up there is the one who delivers the messages to me. He'll give me a topic, and then it goes through my mind, and then I put it on paper. It's not me. I'm not calling any kind of revelations or calling down the thunder on anybody or anything like that. No, I am far from any of those things. Especially Jim Jones. I mean, come on. I watched enough documentaries about that guy. Total monster. Anyways, I'm just somebody trying to do better in life. Still learning this stuff as I go. I'll think I'll have it figured out one day, and then the next thing I know, nope, got to restart somewhere here or redo that. It's a continuing process. But so far, I've got a lot of positive feedback about it, and it's looking good. Thank you for reading or watching this, whichever one you're doing right now. And always remember, you are not alone. Thank you. Love and peace be with you. And good night.